Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and this is Overreaction Monday. After a heartbreaking loss to the Chicago Bears, the Raiders are 1-3. What I talk about the day after a game day is the top trending topics around the Las Vegas Raiders. And if your voice sounds as crappy as mine, and it doesn't matter win, lose, or tie, if you're still like, hey man, it's Raider Nation till I die, I want you to hit that subscribe button because I know how frustrated I am. And I know how frustrated Raiders fans are out there right now. And I don't blame anybody for being frustrated because that game yesterday was a game the Raiders should have won. So I'm just going to put this message out there to all the loyal Raiders fans and I'll just say it like this. I hope that you don't give up on Jeremy Chuggs and I. I hope that you don't give up on the Raiders Report. I hope that you don't give up on the Raiders because to me, there are a lot of loyal fans out there that want more, that expect more. So if you're a real one, I want you to hit that subscribe button and tune in to every single day, to every single show that we do here. And I bring that up simply because we're going to keep bringing the content. We're going to keep bringing you guys the information that you need. But we also need to, as a fan base, be able to talk about what is happening with this organization, whether we win, lose, or tie, because that's what family does. So let's get into the Overreaction Monday, the number one talking point on today's show, and it's going to be the number one thing that everybody is going to talk about today, and it's got to be Geno Smith. And should the Raiders bench Geno Smith? I know he wears number 7, but he's also got 7 interceptions, and he's been an absolute flipping disaster for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. But this is an overreaction, and I want to be very clear with the statement that I'm going to make. Geno Smith has played bad enough to get benched. Geno Smith has played bad enough for these conversations to really open up here and explore. I know that there's a lot of people that are like, Mitch, we got to bench Geno. We got to roll with something else. Here's the issue. As bad as what Geno Smith has played, and there's a lot of people out there right now saying, oh, well, Geno, we should have known this was going to happen. Quite frankly, this is the worst Geno Smith has ever played underneath Pete Carroll. And if you're going to throw out stats at me, I'm going to throw out stats at you. Geno Smith has never played this bad with Pete Carroll. He's never been this bad the past 3 years in Seattle. So if you're going to sit up here and go, Mitch, we should have knew that this was going to happen because of what happened in the past, you don't know ball, and you're just looking at box stat scores. But now let's talk about the now, because I don't want to hear the past with Geno Smith. I want to talk about what's happening now with Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders, because he has played bad enough to get benched. He has played bad enough to lose his job. I don't love that Pete Carroll has said yesterday that we haven't gotten to that point yet to have the conversations around benching him, because to me, Pete, if you're going to be a head coach that always talks about competing for your spot, every single day competing for your spot, if you're going to go out there and you're going to make a guy like JPJ, who clearly showed you yesterday that he's the second best he's the second best offensive lineman that we have on our roster, but do I think that it's time to bench Geno? No, that is an overreaction, but that doesn't mean that you can't say that he's not competing with Kenny Pickett. He's not competing with potentially Aiden O'Connell, who could come back this week off of the IR. What I am saying, though, is it is an overreaction because as bad as what Geno Smith has played, and the numbers are going to prove it, he is still better than Kenny Pickett. He is still better than Aiden O'Connell. And this franchise is not going to go out and sign a quarterback. There's no quarterback that's better than Geno Smith. Sorry, it's not Ryan Tannehill. There's not a quarterback that the Raiders are going to go out and trade for because Pete's very loyal to Geno. But when you look at these numbers here, he's 22nd in the NFL in completion percentage. Again, this is based on quarterbacks that qualify with a certain amount of throws. Passing touchdowns, congratulations, Geno. You're tied for 12th. Interceptions, dead last. He leads the National Football League. QBR, 43.1. That's 25th in the league. Quarterback rating, 27th in the NFL. There are no numbers here that can really illustrate also just the struggles that Geno Smith has had to face. And if you want another not-so-fun stat to wake up to this morning, Geno Smith is on pace to throw 30 interceptions this season. 30 interceptions this season. Geno Smith has thrown 6 interceptions in the 2 home games with the Las Vegas Raiders, in the 14 games indoors in a dome When he was with Seattle over the past 3 seasons, he threw 5 interceptions in 14 games and 30 touchdowns. I can't illustrate enough that what you are watching right now is the worst quarterback play that I have seen Geno Smith play probably since he was a member of the New York Jets. He never played as bad as he did in Seattle, and if he'd be playing this bad like he did in Seattle, he wouldn't even be a member of this team right now. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but since the year 2000, okay, 12 quarterbacks have thrown 30 or more interceptions in a season in NFL history, but only one has done it since the year 2000. There have been a few others like Eli, Brett Favre that have gotten close to putting up that 30 interception number, but the guy that threw 30 interceptions back in 2019, Jameis Winston. Guess who was on that staff? John Spytek. Now, I understand that a lot of interceptions is a lot of interceptions. Football is very different now. Hell, it's crazy to look at Vinny Testaverde threw 42 interceptions. That is the NFL record. I can't even imagine what I would look like or what I would sound like if that was the case. But I do feel like a little bit right now of a broken record because every single year I sit up here on this show and I go, it's really hard to win in the NFL when you have bad quarterback play. Where I'm really frustrated is everything that I saw on tape about Geno coming into this season proved that he could have been a top 10 quarterback, could have been a top 14 quarterback. If you don't believe me, almost every single metric, almost every single stat proves it. I'm not going to sit up here and argue it anymore because he's clearly not a good quarterback right now. But what's frustrating, I think, for Raiders fans we keep on signing these quarterbacks. We keep on trading for these quarterbacks, and they're veterans, and they're playing the worst football of their career. Gardner Minshew played the worst football of his career with the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo played the worst football of his career with the Raiders. And right now, Geno Smith looks a lot like freaking Gardner Minshew. I mean, look at these stats. The first 4 games with the Raiders, the attempts to completions, they are very similar. Sure, Geno's got an advantage in yards. Sure, he's got more touchdown throws. He's also got significantly more interceptions, a worse touchdown-interception ratio than Gardner Minshew, and the most important stat, the win-loss. Gardner Minshew after 4 games in the Raiders, 2-2. Geno Smith in the Raiders, right now we're 1-3, and here's the thing. Chip Kelly, better OC than Luke Getsy. The Raiders' offense, better this season than what it was last year with Gardner Minshew. But you know what? He's not the only one. Let's look at the first 4 games of the Raiders with Jimmy flipping Garoppolo. Because Chip Kelly, better OC than Mick Lombardi, better offensive play caller than Josh McDaniels. Jimmy Garoppolo, though, the numbers are literally identical. So I understand the frustration of Raiders fans because right now, Geno Smith is playing worse than Gardner Minshew and Jimmy Garoppolo in their first 4 games as a Raider. I know Geno says that he's going to get it turned around. I know that Pete Carroll believes in Geno to get it turned around. I honestly want to believe that Geno can get it turned around. But I want to be very, very clear here. He needs to compete for his job. Do I think it's an overreaction that he should be benched? Yes, I do. But I want to know from you because this is going to be the only question I'm going to ask you today. Quite frankly, I think it's really the only question that Raider Nation should ask themselves today because it's the number one thing that we got to talk about. You're not going to win football games in the NFL if your quarterback stinks. You're not going to win games in the NFL when you turn the ball over as much as what the Raiders are turning the ball over. So this is going to be the pinned comment. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, please scroll on down, tell me start or bench. What should the Raiders do with Geno Smith? The Raiders cannot bench Geno Smith because he is the best quarterback you have on your roster, whether you like that or not. He's better than Kenny Pickett. He's better than Aiden O'Connell. Anybody telling me Cam Miller on the practice squad, he's better than Cam Miller on the practice squad. Has he played bad enough to get benched? Abso-flippin'-lutely. Has he played bad enough to lose his job? Without question. When you lead the NFL in interceptions, when you have worse statistics than Gardner Minshew last season and Jimmy Garoppolo in their first 4 games of the NFL season, I understand the question that Pete got asked of, hey, is it time to bench him? And I understand Pete's always going to stand up for Geno Smith. But let's get one thing here straight, Pete. You can't only defend your players and then push the other guys that aren't your guys to the side. Because if you're going to make JPJ compete for his job, you better make Geno Smith compete for his job. Because he has played bad enough to be benched. The problem is you can't bench him. He's got to continue to start for the Raiders. Let's go to the next topic here for my Overreaction Monday, and let's talk now about some good shit, because I feel like my nuts are so black and blue from getting kicked in the balls on this third game losing streak that the Raiders are dealing with right now, and I need to put a smile on my own face because I was driving myself absolutely insane. So guess what? We're going to talk about Ashton Jeanty next, coming up here on the show. Before I do, I want to give some love and a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Even though my Prize Picks lineup yesterday might have been worse than the Geno Smith performance, I still had a lot of fun. And wait till you see my Monday night football lineup coming up here in just a little bit. But Prize Picks, it's easy, it's exciting. Daily fantasy sports made easy, and you and I make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Now, I do want to mention this because Prize Picks has a new feature, and Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you want to pick more on passing yards, maybe you want to pick less on Bo Nix passing yards today, I'm not going to blame you. But now you can pick up to them in the same lineup, and you can only do that on Prize Picks. If you want to see my lineup for tonight, and if you don't know, there's 2 Monday Night Football games. I'm going to be live on our main YouTube channel at Chat Sports covering the Dolphins game tonight. On the Raiders Report, I'm going to be covering the Broncos and the Bengals. And obviously, we're going to be rooting for the Bengals. But this is my lineup right here. Prize Picks also invented the flex play, which means even if your lineup isn't perfect, so if I don't get 4 of these right, I still have a chance to win some money. So 3 out of the 4, I can turn my $10 into $20. Now, if I get all 4 of these right, I turn my 10 into $60. And if you're planning on watching Monday Night Football, I'll tell you this, from Raider fan to Raider fan, if you want to be able to put a smile on your face during game day, have a little bit of fun. And Prize Picks is going to make sure that you're going to have fun. Win, lose, or tie, I'm going to go with Prize Picks until I die. Raider Nation knows what I'm talking about. So if you want to roll with my lineup, you can download the app today. You can use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's go to the next thing, because you know what else is really good to be right about? That Ashton Jeanty has that it factor. And this one's not an overreaction, it's believe it, baby. And it was such a sigh of relief to finally see Jeanty get it going a little bit, because if I'm going to be a Raider fan that's just going to be up here and crappy, mopey after a loss like that, I don't blame some people to do that. But when you really watch that game yesterday, and there was so much good in that game, which is why this is such a heartbreaking loss that we suffered. But to me, the number one thing that I came away with from that game, smile, is that Jeanty has that it factor. And when you open up running lanes, it's kind of crazy. When you actually run good running plays that are strengths to your player, when you allow your player to do what he's best at. Like, again, sometimes what drives me nuts that coaches do is they overcomplicate the simple. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Chip Kelly, the Raiders, they tried to fix Ashton Jeanty's stance. And I'm not going to get too much into the details of it, but imagine if you had a baseball player and he had a certain baseball stance, and you're like, you know what? I don't really like that baseball stance, even though you were arguably the best baseball player in the entire country the year before. I want to change it because I think I know what's best for you. Ashton Jeanty yesterday stood on business, and what did he do? He stood straight up, and I love that he decided to take that on himself, and I love that the Raiders actually did some outside zone run plays. I love that they really leaned into his strength, and it's not going to surprise me at all when you put your best offensive lineman, not named Colton Miller, we'll talk about Miller here in a little bit, but JPJ being out there on the offensive line, shocker, really helped out the Raiders' running game. And 21 carries here. I understand that the Bears, coming into this game, were allowing 5.5 yards per carry. But Ashton Jeanty had 21 carries, 138 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, a touchdown. He had the long touchdown run of 64 yards. He showed the ability to have breakaway speed. He showed the ability to pick up first downs. He showed spin moves. He showed cuts. He showed great vision. He showed you everything that you want to see in a third down back or a 3-down back. Also, you know what he showed you? That he can pass protect. You know what also he showed you? The ability to catch the football. And I really want to see the Raiders try to get the ball in the hands of Ashton Jeanty a little bit more. 2 targets, it was 2 receptions, 17 yards, and 2 touchdowns in total. Ashton Jeanty was a monster yesterday, and I can't state it enough. We got to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. But I also, though, want to give credit to the Raiders' offensive line. The Silver and Black had 240 rushing yards yesterday against the Bears. And I want to give, credit to the coaching staff. Where I'm kind of going to give credit, and I'm kind of going to poke holes in you a little bit, because Raheem Mostert was so much clearly better than Zamir White on special teams, running the football, and the offense in general was light years better with Mostert compared to Zamir White. And Zeus was a healthy and active yesterday. My question to the coaching staff, though, is like, how the hell did it take 3 weeks to be able to figure that one out? And that's a little bit concerning. They averaged 7.7 yards per carry. What's crazy is it's the most rushing yards in a Raiders loss of all time. The amount of stats that I am bringing up already this year that we are on pace to do things like all-time bad stats. I know the offensive line has been getting dog-washed, and I've been up here screaming my head off. Put JPJ at center. I still think it's the best thing for this offensive line. I still think that having JPJ out there, and now with the Miller injury, you're going to have to do it. But us Raider fans, we have to give credit to the Raiders' offensive line, because they showed up, they showed out, and they played good enough for us to get a win. Unfortunately, our quarterback couldn't stop throwing the ball to the other team. I also got to give some credit here to our Week 4 MVP, my brother from another mother, LCA, the great Lord Cameron Abbott. Shout out to Mount Raidermore for being a legend in Week 4. And here's the thing, man. There were so many people that showed up and showed out yesterday. We had, over 156,000 viewers yesterday. We ended up taking down Bears Now in a tailgate battle. And I know that Raider Nation's always going to show up. And I know that you guys are always going to put your best foot forward. When I was talking to my dad on the phone today, I'm not going to lie to you, and I feel really shitty for what I'm about to say, but I was talking to my dad, and I'm like, man, this team they're just so mentally frustrating. When I say it at the beginning of the show, I want the loyal Raider fans to continue to show up, it's because I need y'all. And it's maybe a selfish thing to say, but I need Raider Nation to continue to show up. Because if you look at me and you're like, hey, I got Mitch's back, I'm always going to have y'all's back. And I know that you guys are going to have my back. But friend to friend, host to audience, Raider fan to Raider fan, however you want to say this, I hope that you guys know how much we appreciate you around here at the Raiders Report. And I hope that you don't give up on us. You can give up on the Raiders. I'm not going to give up on the Raiders. I will never give up on Raider Nation. But when we go live on Tuesdays, when we go live on Mondays, when we go live on Thursdays, when we go live on a Raiders game day, I'm asking from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you guys still show up, you still show out, because I need y'all for my mental health, and I think that you guys need me too for your mental health, because the Raiders are the most toxic relationship that I have ever been in. But you know what? You ride with the people that you ride with. Family doesn't give up on family. And if you want even more content from me, you can always follow me on Instagram. You can always follow me on Twitter. I always give my takes over there as well. And I know I have a lot of DMs. I always try to do my best to catch up on the DMs. But after a 3-game losing streak, I'm sure you can imagine, my DMs look like an absolute cesspool. Let's go to the final Overreaction Monday topic here on the Raiders Report. And I've seen this being thrown out there a lot. And I don't blame Raider fans for throwing out, the season is over. The Raiders won that first game. They've lost the last 3 games, and they've lost it in some pretty unbelievable flipping ways. Unprepared and a heartbreaking, crushing loss yesterday. Here's the thing, though. I think that this is an overreaction. And I'm not going to sit up here and say that I think the Raiders are going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. I do not. I'm not even going to sit up here and say that I think the Raiders can make the playoffs. I don't think that the Raiders are a playoff caliber team right now. But I'll also say this. If you've looked around the NFL, and if you look around the AFC, there's a lot of teams that I think a lot of us thought could be potential playoff caliber teams that are struggling right now. And because of that, I think the AFC is more wide open than what people realize, because out of the AFC East, I think the Bills are going to be the only team that makes the playoffs there. Out of the AFC West, yeah, you got the Chargers. I'm probably going to put my money on the Chiefs as well to be able to figure it out. In the AFC North, The Bengals without Joe Burrow, I don't think that that's a playoff team. The Ravens are 1-3. The Browns are 1-3. The Steelers are 3-1, but for somebody that's watched every Steelers game and has talked to people here around Chat Sports, I think the Steelers look like one of the worst 3-1 football teams that I've seen in a long time, and Mike Tomlin continues to fail at the end of the season. Colts are 3-1. We play them this week. We're going to find out what type of team that is. The Jags are 3-1. I mean, I got to be able to give them credit. The Texans, the Titans. My point is, whether or not you think the Raiders are a playoff caliber team, we've seen teams make the playoffs with a losing record. And right now, the AFC, the makeup of it is still possible that the Raiders could make the playoffs, as crazy as that is. But here's why I'm going to say that I think it's an overreaction that the season's over. And I don't know. I've done this show so many years now. I couldn't tell you the last time that I said, I think single-handedly one player lost us the game. Single-handedly, I think Geno Smith lost the Raiders that game yesterday, because when you look at the entire picture, the Raiders improved on offense. They did. From top to bottom yesterday, the run game improved, the offensive line improved. I mean, the pass game concept, like everything improved. The defense improved. They made so many stops yesterday. I mean, Chicago had the ball 5 times inside of the Raiders' 24-yard line at one point and didn't even score a touchdown. Why? Because the Raiders turned the ball over 4 times early in that game. Put your defense in tough situations. So, like, I look at the entire picture. The offense improved, the defense improved, and yes, there was a block special teams play to end the game. That's not on Daniel Carlson. It's a really shitty way to end the game, but kick return, punt returns, special teams also improved. Yes, losing Colt Miller is going to hurt, and we will figure out what that injury is going to be. It's going to be the video that I make actually a little bit later on today, because I've got some information that the Raiders fans are going to want to see. But if Geno doesn't throw 3 interceptions yesterday, the Raiders are a 2-2 football team. And I believe that the season isn't over because Geno's going to improve. And he has to improve. Like, he can't play any worse. And even though I do think that it's going to take time, we got to sit back and go, it can only get better. And the reason why I'm going to sit up here and say it can only get better is because you got a brand new quarterback, brand new head coach, brand new OC, brand new skill position players, brand new running back, brand new offensive line, brand new, like, the amount of brand new on the Raiders offensive side of the football, it looks like a quarterback that he's still trying to figure out the offense. Looks like a quarterback that's still trying to trust himself. I mean, he's making bad reads. He's making really bad throws, and he doesn't look confident. All those things are true right now about Geno Smith. But I do honestly believe if Geno is able to clean it up, and if Geno just plays the way that he did the last 3 years in Seattle, we're going to win more football games. And a 7-10 record in this current makeup of the AFC might be good enough to make the playoffs. So the moment you think that this season's over, I don't think that it's over. I will admit, though, Week 5 against Indy is a must-win game. If you lose and you go to 1-4, yeah, season might be over then. But I also just want to see a team that's getting better and better and better. I want to see a team that shows that they are growing and improving under Pete Carroll and under this regime. But in my personal opinion, you got 3 games until your Week 8 bye. You got to be 3-4 at the absolute worst. Absolute worst. You've got to be 3-4. You got to figure out how to win 2 games in here. You better beat Tennessee, because I don't know if you're going to be able to go on the road and beat Kansas City when they're going to get Rashee Rice back. And then you got a tough game at Indy, a very physical football team that wins in the trenches. The Raiders have a hell of a test. They got a hell of an uphill battle. They got their work cut out for them. And I'm telling you this right now, with all that being said, I still don't think that the season is over. You can call me a crazy Raiders fan. And if you want some stats to back it up, since 1990, out of 235 teams starting at 1-3, only 34 have made the playoffs. That's about a 14.5% chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Reminder that the NFL expanded their playoffs. 5 teams since 2020 have made the playoffs since starting 1-3. But there actually has been a team to start 1-3 that has won the Super Bowl. And that was the 2001 New England Patriots with Tom Brady. And yes, it's also the tuck rule game, which I know, it's a tough one. but Tom Brady is on this staff. And I do wonder, and it's something that I would actually encourage from this team. If I'm Pete Carroll, I pick up the phone and I go, hey, Tom, I know you're a busy man, but last time I checked, you're one of the minority owners here of the Raiders. Can you talk to the guys? Talk to the guys about what Bill Belichick, what the Patriots were talking about in 2001. I'm not trying to make the Raiders the Patriots. Believe me, I don't want to go down that road again. But I do think that you can learn from past history. You can learn what previous teams did. And if one previous team was facing a 1-3 record, and if you had an opportunity to bring somebody who is probably the most influential person to them winning that Super Bowl with that 1-3 record, I would try to bring that person in and talk to the team. What did the coaches do? Coaches need to learn. What did the staff do? What did the staff do? They need to do it. What did the players do? What did the nutritionists do? What did the janitors do? From top to bottom, it's going to take an entire team effort to climb out of a 1-3 hole. So one more time here, Raiders Overreaction Monday. It is an overreaction to say bench Geno Smith because we don't have a better option. Ashton Jeanty has that it factor. Believe it, baby. And I do not think the season is over. That is an overreaction. If you want to be able to hang out with me today, I'm going to be live. Not only here in a little bit, 1 p.m. Eastern time, which my time is about 2 hours from now. Then I'm going to be live for Monday Night Football. Make sure you're ready to rock and roll. Then tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then you already know, I'm going to be live for Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a good time. I will say this, though, for everybody that's been trying to get in for the signed Ashton Jeanty helmet, we're giving away the signed Jeanty helmet tomorrow on the Raiders Report. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. It can only get better, right? That's what I keep telling myself. Though, Geno, you're on the hot seat. Got to be playing better, man. Raider Nation's going to have your back, but you also got to be able to sit back and realize you have to play better.